This I turned on Don Lemon on CNN. I didn't want to watch Fox. I didn't want to watch MSNBC. I didn't really want to watch CNN, but it just seemed the most logical. Let's play some of this and let's see if anything is missing from Don Lemon's play-by-play of the storm.
We have a tornado watch that's in effect now till 1 a.m. Listen, we're going to stay on the air for you until at least 1 a.m. So I'm just getting the information. So a lot of it I'm seeing just as you are. So I'm going to walk you through. This is in Mullica Hill that you see right there in New Jersey. That was a tornado captured by Bob Thomas. So there you see it blowing through. And then later we're going to get you some images. I believe there's stills of the aftermath of this tornado going through New Jersey earlier. We also have shots of our subway system here in New York City inundated with water, flooding there. You can see it. The entire subway service all over the city of New York City suspended because of the weather from Ida, which includes obviously rain, flooding. Look at that. See at the very back of that? Look how that water is just pouring into the New York City subway. So the entire New York City subway system out of commission right now. And then there are other trains that feed into New York City, the 7 train, Staten Island Railway, and all of that. They're on delays. The MTA are checking it out, and they're going to update us. In New Jersey, the governor has declared a state of emergency. The governor, Phil Murphy, is saying, urging residents, stay off the roads, stay home, and stay safe. Look at all of the flood waters. This is tonight in the Northeast. This is Bloomfield, New Jersey. And if you look at this, you can see why the governor of New Jersey.
I think we're about, I don't know, a minute in, maybe a minute, 30 seconds in. We're seeing New York City's subway completely flooded. We're seeing parts of suburban New Jersey completely flooded, and like cars, sedans, and mini SUVs like basically underwater. We are seeing, water going in pretty much everywhere. And I don't know, there's really no discussion of the cause of such carnage. Yes, we know it's a hurricane, Ida, but, generally, other than Hurricane Sandy, a couple other nasty hurricanes in the Northeast, you generally don't see this kind of flooding, this kind of carnage in the Northeast. And I don't know, just watching CNN, of course, the images are important to see. The flooding is important to see. Having on elected officials is important to see because those elected officials will then give viewers the necessary emergency hotlines they could call if they need help and the necessary information. But I don't know. Call me just wanting too much. I kind of want to know what's causing this, Mr. Lemon. Let's play more.
Flash flood emergencies issued Wednesday evening by the National Weather Service, stretching all the way just west of Philadelphia through northern New Jersey. Dozens of water rescues happening, taking place, and numerous roads have been closed. So we'll get the images up as we get them. The latest flash flood emergency included Newark, which is New Jersey's largest city. You're looking at that, images from Newark, New Jersey right now. These are the rainfall estimates for parts of central and eastern Pennsylvania and New Jersey. Range from 4 to 8 inches of water, with some isolated locations approaching 10 inches. Some parts saw 3 to 4 inches of rain an hour throughout Wednesday. We've been speaking to our meteorologist, Pedram Javaheri, who's been telling us about the rainfall, the 1 hour rainfall totals in New York City, and which is measured usually in Central Park, the highest since they've started keeping record. Let's go to our meteorologist now, Pedram, to give us some perspective on what's going on. Listen, this tornado watch in the Northeast, which includes New York City, till 1 a.m. I'm not sure they're going to extend it, but this is some really bad stuff.
The South, we have always had hurricanes in the South, but the strength of the wind is significantly more than normal. The flooding significantly more than normal. Not a word from Mr. Lemon or his good-looking weatherman on, I don't know, carbon emissions or, burning ice caps or icebergs. The temperature keeps going up all around the world. You got Canada was 120 degrees a couple of weeks ago. The West was on fire while all of this is going on. Tahoe is on fire. I don't know. Maybe I didn't go to journalism school. I pretty kind of think that should be an emphasis on anybody's coverage of what is causing this crazy, abnormal flooding in the Northeast.
So, first of all, hi everyone. I apologize for being late. I had something to do with my son's school, so here I am. But to come into the conversation, what I can say is so I live in Maryland, and our capital city, Annapolis, just had a tornado as well, and that obviously it's not the first time there's been a tornado in this area. I remember being young and everyone being all upset in Delaware because a tornado was coming, and everyone was all upset and so shocked because it was so rare. But was I shocked when I saw the news that Annapolis had a tornado? And for those of us who are geographically challenged, with which I am, unless I've lived in those states, Delaware and Maryland are right next to each other. Annapolis is about an hour and a half away from where I grew up. So it went from a huge surprise when I was young to have a tornado in this area to, wow, that's awful. And it's just going to keep happening. It's going to happen more and more.
It's like literally being inside a burning building and nobody asking at all or wanting to know, who burnt down this building. And of course, you got to do both things as a journalist. You got to give the news in real time. Where is the flooding happening? They had the governor of New York on, who gave hotlines and information for people that they could call if they were in trouble. So I'm not saying like only do a commentary on the climate inferno that's causing this, but to be absent of any. I mean, I think Brian Stelter, who was reporting, i.e., went outside his house in New Jersey, but he was kind of reporting from this yesterday. I think he vaguely mentioned that climate is playing a role in this. It is insane. And this is why, a big reason why, of course, our corrupt politicians are the bigger reason. But when cable news and outlets just kind of mention, climate and the climate catastrophe is playing a role here. It's not playing a role. It is causing it.
Last year, actually probably around exactly a year ago, there, of course, were more wildfires going on throughout Oregon and Washington State a bit, and California. And so I went and I reported near LA, about an hour away from LA. And there were horrible wildfires that devastated many different areas. But one story that I zeroed in on, and I was lucky enough to connect with this woman, was someone who owned, she's trying to rebuild it, and I want to follow up and see how she's doing, but she had an animal sanctuary, and it was completely devastated. She was able to get her animals out through, I don't know, luck and a prayer, but her entire sanctuary was devastated. And in speaking with her and speaking with other residents whose homes, some were left standing, some were also devastated, and speaking with these neighbors, and speaking with people that week who'd been impacted in different ways by the wildfires, the general consensus, and even though this was by LA, this was very extraordinarily rural. Like maybe 3 houses are your only neighbors for a while, sort of deal. And so this wasn't, I would say, not a very progressive area, but we're at a point where climate change is just the truth, right? And it surprised me that even these folks who have been personally, people say you can't understand things or truly care about things until you're really personally impacted, which is true in many cases, but these folks were personally impacted by climate change, and they were not informed about climate change. And if I'm aggregating here responses, but if they did believe that climate change was a thing then it was only maybe partially responsible or not our main focus, or, on and on. And so my surprise was, wow, these people have lost their, in some cases, businesses, in other cases, homes, very important belongings. I will never forget walking across the burned out, the home that was on the animal sanctuary. It felt like, those videos that they take underground of the Titanic, for example, where everything's, that's one of the scenes in the Titanic movie. But if you've seen documentaries, whatever, that eerie, just darkness where things just don't look right. It's surreal. It feels not real. But that's what it reminded me of, walking through that burned out structure.